The Project Workbench.
One movie this summer has generated more advanced curiosity than any other. The central character began as a comic book hero in 1939. He had his own campy television series in the 60s. And now he is a movie star. Maybe you've heard of him. Batman. But his movie career hasn't come easy. It's taken Bat producers John Peters and Peter Guber 9 years to put the deal together. At least 10 different scripts were written. At one time, Bill Murray was going to play Batman when the film was crafted as a big-budget comedy. But it wasn't until Warner Brothers hired 29-year-old director Tim Burton and trusted his quirky vision that the deal was set in motion and the story of Batman could be told.
This one was a real tricky project. I mean, you have a man in a bat suit, and even though it's based on a comics, there's a lot of exploration to try to make something like this work.
Remember, your bird shall have no other wings but that of a bat. Surprisingly, the inspiration for Batman came from the words and drawings of Renaissance artist Leonardo da Vinci. At the age of 13, Batman creator Bob Kane came across da Vinci's designs for a flying machine, and as Kane later said, there it was for me, the Batman.
Lieutenant, is there a 6-foot bat in Gotham City?
On the 50th anniversary of the comic book Batman, a motion picture is about to be released starring Jack Nicholson as the Joker and Michael Keaton as Batman.
The star of this movie is truly the movie.
It really is the Phantom of the opera of the 80s.
The pen is truly mightier than the sword.
You get the excitement and visual qualities from a comic book, but you also get a little bit more depth.
Vicki Vale.
Hi, Bruce Wayne.
And what do you do for a living?
The year-long production of Batman was shot in London, where producers spent millions of dollars constructing a fully functional 6-block Gotham City set at Pinewood Studios. The scoring was also done in London. Producer John Peters was there to oversee the dramatic underscore of a film about his childhood hero.
For me, Batman was a character. He and Elvis Presley were my two favorite characters. Shame he couldn't have played. Yeah, and actually they're very similar, although they both had funny costumes that they wore. I remember saying to the people at Warner Bros. For years, Batman, Batman, they look at me like I was a little peculiar, you know? How are you going to do a movie with a guy running with a cape and he has no superpower and he doesn't have kryptonite and he can't fly and all those different things? And then...
We're ready to do this.
Are they ready to go? Okay. No, they're not ready for us. They're not ready for us.
I understand.
I think this was a very difficult picture to make. It was very hard for all of us. And then, we met Tim, and, it just started to fall into place.
One.
In the early stages of the deal, one of the most frustrating roadblocks was finding the director with the right vision. Producer John Peters finally got a lucky break.
Have it behind you like this, come on.
On the surface, it may seem unusual that $40 million in one of the biggest movie deals of the year was entrusted to 29-year-old Tim Burton.
On one hand, it's quite scary because you're dealing with this money. On the other hand, it's like a bunch of kids, tying capes around their neck and jumping off the roof.
Tim Burton had already directed 2 successful Warner Brothers pictures. He had just endeared himself to studio executives when he turned the $13 million budget of Beetlejuice into an $80 million blockbuster. It was Warner Brothers who had given Burton his first break, and now they were willing to roll the dice on him as director of Batman. The only person left to convince was producer John Peters.
Mark Canton, who's the president of worldwide production at Warner Brothers, kept talking about this young, inventive, crazy, talented kid who he was working with. And I kept saying to him, I want to meet him, I want to meet him. It made me uncomfortable because I was always the crazy kid, and I'm not the kid anymore.
When they signed Burton, they hired his imagination and track record. What they were soon to learn about was his tremendous ability to perform under the extreme pressures of a complicated production and the presence of a multi-million-dollar cast.
Yeah, Batman is a huge challenge to anybody, the way they chose to do it, you know. And yeah, it was an enormous undertaking. I mean, the kid, you know, I mean, he's kind of known, you know, for his, like, pallor, you know what I mean? The kid is, like, known to be pale. He went past pale. He almost went to transparent, this kid. He was working so hard. I just thought every day was his last day. Didn't think he could stand up to another one, and he just... But I think the thing Tim actually likes, without even knowing, is that he likes those frayed wires, you know. That's where it starts to happen, you know. And, you know, his whole look, you know, his whole hair and his whole look is about that.
Again, Michael, it's what you're suggesting is an interesting thing, because you don't want it to look like you want it to look like you're wounded, but you're still going for it. Do you know what I mean?
Stay out of the light.
Cut it.
Tim Burton I would work with any day, anytime he called me, any day of the... I'd start tomorrow morning on a film that if he had something to do with it, with never having read it. Because I came in on this rather late, and I met him, and instantly the two of us sort of took off flying together, like two bats.
Now that the director was in place, the producers needed someone to fill the bat suit. Candidates included Mel Gibson, Charlie Sheen, and Pierce Brosnan. TV Batman, Adam West, was not in the running.
Very odd. This could be a plot to separate us.
He was offered a cameo appearance in the film, but declined.
What a terrible way to go.
John Peters and Tim Burton pushed Warner Brothers for an unconventional choice. They believed that the perfect square-jawed Superman type lacked the twisted psychotic qualities of their Dark Knight. Unexpectedly, they found Batman in Beetlejuice.
We thought, wow, wouldn't that be an interesting idea if we could have Michael Keaton play Batman? Everyone went, Michael Keaton play Batman! They wanted to throw us out of the business. People were picketing against the picture. They were writing letters. There were people within Warner Bros. Calling the chairman in New York saying, we're going to destroy the whole thing.
When the role of Batman was first proposed to Keaton, he almost immediately declined.
My life is really complex.
Posing another threat to the deal.
I think Michael was as shocked as anybody when we approached him. You know, I don't look like, you know, the classic image of Batman.
There's nothing really that you can do, because it's blah, 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 and by the time you get over there, it's like he's driving away.
Keaton was hesitant for three reasons. First, he had no particular interest in the comic book or TV show. Second, he wanted to take a break. And third, there was a strong possibility that Jack Nicholson would be playing the Joker.
I was hesitant to blow it with Jack, because he's somebody I've always wanted to work with, probably the person I've always wanted to work with.
Out of a courtesy to Tim Burton, Michael Keaton read the script. Batman's dark and driven character won him over, and he accepted the role.
Again, once he got into the concept of what we were doing, he got very interested in it.
Stay out of the light.
I think the most difficult thing in making this picture was getting the right people together at the right time to be able to have everybody commit to make the movie.
The final step was to find the Joker. Offering Jack Nicholson his average $11 million per picture was easy. What wasn't easy was getting him to commit.
Me?
Having made Witches of Eastwick with him, where he played the devil, we had talked about, you know, him playing the Joker, but not until he met Tim, and then as Michael Keaton came into the picture, I think that Jack started to see that what Tim was assembling was a really interesting picture and an inventive picture. And then we flew over to London and we spent some time over here and we showed him the Batmobile.
Where did he get those wonderful toys?
You know, it took him a while to own it.
Jack is dead, my friend. You can call me Joker.
Originally, he was only supposed to work like 3 weeks. And then he ended up working like 91 days, I think, so.
106.
106. It's 106 days, 106 days. I'm underpaid, yeah.
The pen is truly mightier than the sword.
you just get it all. You know, he's willing to push it as far as he thinks he has to push it. You know what I mean? No fear. You know, even though, you know, I mean, he would say to me, sometimes we'd walk over and say, what do you think? And I'd say, you know, I can't, he'd say, I can't tell, you know, I don't know, with this appliance on my face and everything. And I'd say, and I'd give him an honest, you know, opinion, which was usually, it's great, what are you, nuts?
You look fine.
I didn't ask.
In 1966, ABC aired a new TV series that became a phenomenon. Even though the TV series was 24 years old and an all-star cast was locked into the film deal, producers always knew there was a potential problem.
Ringside table, Batman? Just looking, thanks. I'll stand at the bar. I shouldn't wish to attract attention.
How would Bat fans compare the new Dark Avenger with the campy Cape Crusader of the 60s?
I actually loved the TV series when I was a kid. You know, I realized when I got involved with it early on that it was, you know, we just had to do our movie because on one hand you have comic book people who hate the TV series, and on the other hand, most people know the TV series, and they, you know, they think about the theme and the pow and bang and all that sort of thing, and you know, there's no way, you know, there's no way to satisfy everybody. Yes, the television series has been made. Yes, there's a comic book. I happen to be one of the people who didn't like the TV series because I was in love with the comic book. I love the Dark Avenger of the Night quality.
I feel a little drunk. And you're not anything.
Hey, one drink and I'm flying.
Winged freak terrorizes. Wait till they get a load of me.
It's too hard of a job to just copy something, and you got to give it something new and hopefully keep in with the spirit of what you think it is. So I don't know how I would fulfill that obligation other than saying I hope that the spirit of why I love the image of Batman is there.
Warner Brothers will soon know if the deal will pay off. And before it's over, we'll spend close to $9 million to advertise this summer blockbuster.
Somebody tell me what kind of a world we live in where a man dressed up as a bat gets all of my press.
At this moment, Batman with Michael Keaton is being heavily promoted. At the other extreme, Premiere's next blockbuster has been kept a secret until now. The mystery of the abyss is coming up.